Welcome back, and I'm in the studio with the Deputy Minister responsible for higher education and training, Mr. Buti Manamela, and we're talking about the fourth industrial revolution, higher education itself, training, skills, jobs, you name it.
Yeah.
It's on the menu.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the figure of 350,000 as the joint income of families whose children would qualify for free tertiary education. And yes, we have to be concerned about those who are just above 350,000. There's talk of the missing middle. Now, do they get any support, or is it a fault of the parents that they happen to just earn a bit more, and therefore not only must they be penalized by paying taxes, but they also get penalized by not having support for their children?
Look, firstly, there was a statistical method that helped us to arrive at the figure of 350,000, which is from Statistics SA, which suggested that 90% of South African households earn below the 350,000 mark. So we're already covering 90%. So that's the extent of our inequality as a society. So it means, the entire wealth of our country is in, the middle income is
everything else
9%,
is 10%,
and then the highest income is 1%. So now, so we said, all right. So with regards to those who are between 350 and I think the threshold is 650,000, that with regards to those, the former chair of the NSFAS, Mr. Sizwe Nxasana, is leading a fund whose intention is to address specifically those students, either through bursaries or a combination of bursaries and loans, or loans, and all of that. And it's been on a pilot project, and it's going to be rolled out, as soon as possible. But I also want to make a special appeal. A lot of the people in the private sector have been funding students over the years, and many of them have been asking me, so now that you've introduced fee-free education, what do we do? Let's look at those students whose parents are between 350 and 650,000. Let's look at their performances. If their marks are good, let's fund those particular students. And it's mainly students who are going to universities, because frankly 90–95% of students who go to TVET colleges are studying there for free, and the cost, if you compare to university fee cost, is relatively lower.
These institutions, including the universities and the TVET colleges, are they producing the kind of skills that are suitable for the economy? Because I'm hearing of an increasing number of graduates who are not employed, or in some instances whose skills are not needed by this economy.
Firstly, we had to shift, the focus of our general education system, because when people graduate from school, where do they want to go? They want to go to university. And in many instances, universities are for research and development and for professions which, in my view, has somewhat become overly saturated. So people go study law, they go study, religious studies, and all of that. So we're beginning to shift all of those towards, firstly, TVET colleges, and secondly, towards engineering studies, and to prepare them for the future demands of skills, and some of those which are very current. So you've got institutions which are already focusing on training students on 3D printing, on cybersecurity.
The fourth industrial revolution, right? And in fact, if I may interrupt you, because I want to get your sense of what fourth industrial revolution is, and I'll tell you why I'm doing this. Every time it gets mentioned, whoever is talking about it, whether it be you or any person in a taxi or anywhere, it's as if we're all on the same page. And we know that we are not, right? So let me get a government's definition of fourth industrial revolution.
So when we speak about the fourth industrial revolution, Tim, we're talking about the advancement in technology and the use of information communication system to revolutionize our society, and what we've seen, recently as a result of this technological advancement and progress, is new innovations and products which are coming into the market, which are essentially either making work for the human beings lighter or essentially replacing, you know, human beings. If you, I mean, so, you know, some people talk about the fourth and then you think, okay, so where was the first, the second, and the third? Where was I? Was I sleepy? Well, most of us were actually not there when the first industrial revolution occurred, which was, you know, the discovery of the wheel, which made transportation easier, then, you know, steam engine, electricity, and all of that. The digital revolution, which was the third, and now, you know, so I think the dominant component of the fourth industrial revolution is about the Internet of Things.
Yes.
It's about, you know, the speed at which information, communication,
artificial intelligence,
right? You know, we had
and it's a very important point to raise this of fourth industrial revolution, because Anne Bernstein, for instance, of the Center for Development Enterprise, and other people will tell you, you know it, that where South Africa is sitting with a huge labor market, and most of the unemployed people do not possess the skills. And as I said at the beginning of this conversation, that the nature of work is changing. So how are people going to be empowered? Not only those who've gone to TVET colleges or to universities, but the ones who did not even matriculate. What's going to happen to them?
4 levels, team. Firstly, we are working together with the Department of Public Works in Gauteng to pilot what I believe is going to be a massive project that's going to target young people who are not in employment or in any education institution. We've located those young people at the University of Johannesburg. These are young people who are in the EPWP program. They are being given short, medium to long-term skills. Many of those will graduate as artisans, but what we want them to do when they complete, you know, that program, some of them will go in and fix your alarm system at home, or install your televisions, or, you know, so it's security, it's information, it's telephony, and all of those, but even electricity, both light and heavy current. So that's the one for those ones. And then we are then introducing TVET college students into the work of world of work. So the minister on Monday will be launching the centers of specialization, which are our top TVET colleges, and we're experimenting with a dual education system that's popular in Germany, where you go to school today, tomorrow you go to a workplace to get to understand what you were learning in school. So that's how we're advancing. And then with regards to universities of technology, we're engaging with the private sector on workplace integrated learning, where we want them to take university and University of Technology graduates into the workplace and introduce them to this machinery, so that by the time they graduate, they already have a sense of what you know, needs to be done. I want to say to parents, grade 12 learners who are sitting out there, universities are important, but they're not the be-all of our education system. I want to encourage them to experiment with our TVETs. We've done a lot. I mean, I went to a TVET college, you know, and I went back there 20 years later. It's a completely different environment. So much so that I wanted to brush up, you know, my digital electronics into something else.
I spoke with Barry Dowalski, the prof who's running Kopanong Center here in Braamfontein, and he says, you know, if you go and do coding there, within a couple of, 2-3 years, then you're ready to go, you know, and you get employed almost instantly and likely to earn more money than your counterparts across the road who are at the university. But now, let's look at the job summit and what the president promised or urged the private sector to do to give young people work opportunities. Still, you know, that is what the president can say, but there are practical things that need to be done to help young people who may not actually want to work for anybody, who are so-called hustlers, right? So how are you helping the young hustlers?
Look, firstly, we've said to most of our universities, and most of them are doing it, and TVET colleges, introduce young people to entrepreneurial skills so that we do not I mean, you know, we underestimate the extent of the damage that the apartheid system have done. It was physical, it was visual, but it was also mental, in that our education institutions were built in such a way that they were producing labor for the apartheid economy. And we're trying to reverse that so that people, when they come out of there with their metallurgical degrees or, you know, with whatever complex degree that they may have done, they don't have to stand at the robot and say, graduate and unemployed. But for them to be able to say, with this education that I've received from this or that university, how is it that I'm able to build some form of subsistence? So, and then there's a platform of, I mean, one of the packages which the president didn't speak much of, both at the Job Summit and when he was announcing the, you know, the stimulus package, is the set of interventions that are intended to encourage young people, you know, to enter the economy, including, you know, support for emerging entrepreneurs, people who produce goods and innovate in ideas and all of that.
Quick one.
Yes.
I've got you here. Before you go, when are people, small, medium-sized entrepreneurs, going to be paid on time by government?
Yeah. Look, when I was deputy minister in the presidency, this was my major preoccupation, together with Minister Khadebe. And I'm quite happy that Minister Dlamini Zuma has made that also her priority. And even beyond that, that the private sector has taken it up. I can promise you now that, you know, at every quarter, departments which are not paying suppliers, especially SMMEs, on time, are reported in the cabinet committees and cabinet, and the ministers and DGs whose department falls within that category are held to account. We're hoping that this will change, because it's also a sign of a whole range of things. It's not only underperformance,
well,
it's
because
also a sign of
one
corruption.
Thing, the reason people don't
that.
want to go into entrepreneurship is because the risks attached not being paid on time, and businesses going under, people losing jobs in the process. But we wish you well, and
is there to help, and I think they've got a toll-free line, and let's talk to the presidency. If there's a specific case, report it at DPME, and hopefully they'll help.
The fourth industrial revolution discussion is ongoing, so we hope to have you back here with other people, so you know, we can continue to share ideas on how to take it to the people. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tim. It's good to see you again.
And that's all we had for you this evening. Thank you for joining the Modise Network. We invite you to be with us next week, Saturday at 6 p.m. as I say good night to Buti Manamela. I'm saying the same to you. Good night until next time.